Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're firing up our digital whiteboard to completely deconstruct the internet's absolute favorite language. I mean, you probably scroll past hundreds, maybe thousands of memes every single week, right? But have you ever actually stopped to think about the hidden engineering behind them? Like, why do they work so well? Today, we're going to uncover exactly why memes rule the internet.
So, let's kick things off with a little mystery. Why is it that a meme makes total sense in a fraction of a second, but reading a text post feels like actual work? Seriously, think about it. You're scrolling, you see a joke, and bam, it clicks instantly in your brain. But a formal paragraph? That demands your attention in a completely different way. Why is that?
Well, that brings us to Section 1, the power of instant recognition.
Here's the thing. When you look at a meme, your brain isn't actually reading it from scratch. It's more like recognizing a pattern, kind of like navigating down a familiar street in your neighborhood. Memes are what we call compressed meaning. They're these highly efficient little packages of instant recognition, shortcut thinking, and shared references. They don't waste time over-explaining things. Instead, they just invite your brain to effortlessly fill in the blanks. It's pretty genius.
Let's move right along to Section 2, 4 ingredients of a meme.
Okay, so making a viral meme is honestly a lot like making tea. You know, water alone isn't tea, leaves alone definitely aren't tea. The magic only happens when all the individual parts combine perfectly. And as we map this out on the whiteboard, you'll see the hidden engineering behind literally every meme on your feed relies on 4 core ingredients: a familiar frame, a message or tension, a shared reference point, and a twist in meaning. Let's break those down.
First up, we've got the frame. I want you to think of this like a lunchbox. It basically just gives the meal a place to go. Even if the actual food inside changes every single day, you still instantly recognize the container holding it. A meme's frame, like say a specific reaction face you've seen a million times, tells your brain, hey, you already know how to read this. And boom, it instantly drops your mental effort to basically zero.
Next ingredient is the tension, which is basically our pressure cooker. A good meme almost always points to some kind of shared frustration, maybe an awkward habit, or just the general absurdity of life. Because look, without tension, it's just an empty template, right? But when it perfectly captures that built-up pressure, man, it acts as a much-needed release valve. It gives people a super easy way to just vent that exact feeling together.
All right, our third ingredient is the shared reference. This is the ultimate inside joke. If you aren't in on it, the words probably just sound like regular, boring text. But for the group who gets it, it triggers instant laughter. It's a massive signal that you belong to that specific little corner of the internet. You're part of the club.
And finally, the twist. Imagine reaching for a door handle, and it opens completely backward, right? For a split second, your brain is just totally surprised. That tiny little mismatch in expectations completely grabs your full attention. The twist bends or flips the frame we talked about earlier, and that tiny gap between expectation and reality, that is exactly where the humor lives.
But what happens when the recipe fails? Well, the whole social machine collapses. If there's no frame, people literally do not know how to read it. No tension? The whole thing just feels empty. No shared reference? The joke just won't land with anyone. And if there's no twist, it just feels totally flat and predictable. You really need all 4 pieces working together.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 3, the mechanics of fast spread.
Welcome to the battlefield of the modern internet, where attention is incredibly scarce. So how do memes consistently win this battle? It all comes down to cognitive burden. Think about it. A formal essay basically stands in a crowded room demanding, hey, give me your attention so I can explain myself. That's heavy, right? It's asking a lot. But a meme? A meme just implies. You already know enough, let's move. It completely earns your attention by just being incredibly lightweight and fast.
And that brings us to why they spread like wildfire. Memes spread because they are extremely cheap to transmit. They hand you a ready-made package of meaning and basically say, recognize this, react to it, pass it on. In an online environment that absolutely rewards speed, this low-friction portability becomes the ultimate social currency. Moving into Section 4, the art of the remix. To actually survive the internet, a meme can't just repeat exactly. It has to purposefully mutate. Think of it like a rubber stamp. Repetition trains familiarity. It keeps the outer lines of the stamp totally consistent. But the remix? That creates variation. It's like changing the ink color. So the format itself becomes this stable mold, but the ink adapts to whatever crazy thing is happening in the world today.
And this brings us to a really brilliant realization about internet culture. There's this great quote that says, meme sharing often feels like participation rather than consumption. Remix is completion in public. That hits the nail right on the head. When you share or remix a meme, you aren't just passively consuming content. You're actually doing social work. You're demonstrating your cultural fluency and basically telling your network, hey, I understand the context and I belong here.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, a new communication system.
All right, let's pull all the pieces on our whiteboard together, because we aren't just looking at random goofy jokes here. We are looking at a hidden communication system. Every single time you scroll, you enter this rapid attention loop. You see and recognize the frame, you feel the tension or the joke, you share it to express your own relevance, and then you confirm its value through the group's reaction. It's literally a live, real-time social feedback loop.
So, to sum it all up, memes are actually highly engineered, compact social machines. They solve social problems efficiently, they totally lower the cost of entry for communication, they create a sense of immediate belonging, and maybe most importantly, they convert our private frustrations into public recognition. They don't just reflect what a group is thinking, they actually help organize it, allowing millions of us to emotionally process complex situations together.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a lingering, maybe slightly provocative thought. We now know that memes package and transmit meaning at incredible speeds. But if they control our micro-attention so effectively, and if they dictate how fast ideas travel across the internet, what are they actually doing to how we think together? Seriously, think about that the next time you're endlessly scrolling. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.